Hi everyone, and welcome back to ChompCast.
As always, I'm Jordan Ricco.
I'm Adam Krasno.
And I'm Rafe Khan.
And we're here today for a very exciting episode, live from the swamp, with our wonderful guest, Ben Chase, a UF class of 2014 alum, and he currently serves as the director of the NIL Strategy for the Florida Gators athletic department. In 2014, he received a degree from UF in economics and went on to receive his JD from George Washington University. He now utilizes his education for sports, marketing, and name, image, and likeness strategy for top institutions such as San Diego State University, and of course, now here at the University of Florida. Ben, welcome to ChompCast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here in basically my office, since it's like right over there,
Yes.
but there's no window, so I'm a lot happier out here for sure.
Get to be outside a little.
Yeah, a little sun.
Get a tan,
Yeah,
like-
skies out, thighs out or something.
All right, so just to start us off, please tell us why you chose UF.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So I didn't go to college till I was 21, actually. I worked at Walt Disney World and did Splash Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Frontierland.
Classics.
And then after I had like a coming to Jesus moment from my friend who was working there. Actually, she's going to be visiting for the Texas game. She was like, if you're not happy with your life, do something about it. And I was in her apartment. I applied for college that day in her apartment. I didn't have a laptop, so she made me use her laptop. So I went to Valencia and Orlando and then came to Florida. It's the only place I applied to as a transfer. So I wanted to come to Florida because it was a top school in the state. My cousin was a Gator, and so I had that little tie, and it was just far outside of Orlando where I could come home. And I loved basketball growing up, so those teams kind of influenced me too.
That's awesome. And so your time at UF, what was that like? Like, what have you taken from that time, that education, into today?
I mean, it was a whirlwind because as a transfer, I was only here for 4 semesters. My first year, we went 11-1 in football. I don't count the bowl game. And then we went 4-8. So that was like a roller coaster there.
Yeah.
I joined a business fraternity here at Florida, and that was kind of my like tribe. I always say like try to find your group of people. Obviously, you guys have done that here. But no, I that was my tribe, and I started just getting involved in that and started a scholarship, which was super cool. And from there, I knew going into Florida that I wanted to go to law school, so it was kind of heads down while I was here too. Like I went to some sporting events, but I was really locked in on leveling up and just continuing to build who I was as a person, and Florida really made that happen.
That's amazing. And I think that kind of led us into our next question of why you wanted to seek out your JD.
Yeah, so I mean, the original story is my senior year of high school, the week I was graduating, I got in a car accident, and it was a hit and run.
Oh, wow.
And I come from a single parent household, so we couldn't really pursue them much for the hit and run. So I just always felt that was like a very unjust moment, and it kind of like led me to go towards the legal career. I hated being in law school and hated being an attorney. I had a great time, but I was an attorney for a little bit, and then stumbled into this, the NIL era or opportunities. So, but the short answer is, yeah, that little moment kind of was what led me to do that. And when I was in college and in law school, I wanted to do education reform. So I worked for the U.S. Department of Education as an intern and an education consulting firm. So it's kind of full circle now that I'm here in a new emerging market,
Yes.
Right.
not in education, but in college sports. So it's kind of tangential.
That's awesome.
And so obviously now you touched on it a little bit. You're not necessarily in law, but with everything happening in NIL, there's a lot of legal overlap. So
Yeah.
what are some of the skills and experiences from law school that stick with you today?
I mean, from the jump, I think patience is the biggest one because law school, you just got to put your head down and do the work.
Right.
And I said the same thing for math. Like people are like, oh, math, you're not going to be able to, use it in real life. But to me, math and in the law career is like, it's about just putting your head down and doing the work
Right.
and showing the discipline. And I think it transcribes or transfers over to what I'm doing now because there's always work to be done. I mean, the NIL world is changing every day. I was lucky enough to get into it pretty early in 2021 when it became a thing. NIL, now it's legal, as what we like to say. But going back to the law part, it changes. I mean, there's a huge case right now, the House settlement that is, that's settled, but it's still, there's like 32 challenges to it.
Right.
So just keeping tabs on those changes, and the contract side too is one of the things where, like, sorry, I have a bug in my eye. just reading contracts and being able to explain them to our athletes at like a level that they can understand is also important too. So.
Yeah. And so you had gotten started with your career a little bit later than, most other people, saying that you wanted to go to college at the age of 21 or 22.
Yeah.
Do you think that there were some key takeaways that you got from going to like the real, working world first?
Yeah.
And then the second thing, you had also mentioned that like, you have to take the first step in order to like change your life.
Yeah.
Any recommendations to our listeners that may have not gone to college or just, want to change the trajectory of where they're going to go in the future?
I mean, that's a great question. So the first part of like, there's no better opportunity than right now for you, right? So like, and with the technology where it is, today compared to 10, 12 years ago when I was, you guys have I made a joke, should I have a laptop? Like, you have a laptop in my pocket, right? And
exactly.
it's probably faster than the Wi-Fi that we're on right now. But to me, it's one of those things where, when I was in law school, my first internship was unpaid, and I drove Uber on the side and Lyft on the side. So there's so many ways to make a dollar now that like you can really leverage time to be your side to build your brand, and whether it's on social, whether it's professionally. I know people that go to school and they don't even have social, and they're just like, hey, like I'm gonna be professional and do it this way. And then there's people that 1, 2, 3 Instagram stories, Instagram posts, podcasts, and all of a sudden they're where they want to be.
Exactly.
But I think it's one of those things where wherever you are in life, if you're stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, take a step back. And actually, one of the things I did a lot is look at the end game of where I was. So when I was at Disney, my mom, dad, and uncle all worked at Disney. But at the same time, my mom and dad don't work there when I was there. My uncle did. But the people I was getting managed by, I saw their work life, and I was like, I don't want to be here. Same thing when I graduated law school. I went to be an attorney, and I was right next to my partner's office, and I was like, I don't like this end road, right? So like, if where you are in life, you just be mindful and look forward. If you see, hey, I don't want to be this, I don't want to do that, it's okay to pivot. Bet on yourself. I always say bet on yourself and double down. Like if you're gonna do it, go all the way.
Yeah, sure.
I love that you touched on the personal brand aspect to it, because everyone has a personal brand, whether you're super active on social media, whether you run a podcast. Every time your reputation, all of your interactions build to how you're going to be viewed and what leads you to the future. So it's such an important aspect to think about how you're presenting yourself on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say that, especially in my role here and wherever you guys go, obviously there's a lot of things that happen in the world that are out of our control, and you can put yourself at risk of your brand being damaged by what you say on social. I've been scolded here at Florida for things that I've said because, I'm representing more than just myself. I'm representing this logo. And part of wherever you guys go in life, you have to remember, like, you're not just, your brand, but you're unofficially speaking for the logo you're wearing. We were just talking about Delta and how you were going to Career Showcase. Like, you don't sign up to be the ambassador for Delta, but you are in a way. And that can be dangerous too. So just when you're out there on social and everyone has I don't have a burner, but like people have burners just to kind of get their takes off, which is fine. I mean, you can be Kevin Durant all you want, but I think it's one of those things where, a personal brand can help you and hurt you.
Yeah, building off of that, I think a lot of your role has to do with kind of helping student athletes build their own brands.
Of course.
How do you kind of view that, and how do you help them along their journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I tell every athlete during orientation that, before NIL, everyone on campus wanted to be an athlete, but now that you can build your brand and be on social and do TikTok and monetize, every athlete wanted to be like everyone else on campus. I mean, the perfect example is UCF. When I was in college, had a kicker who was a YouTuber. He had 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then he was like, hey, like, I want to do this, I want to monetize. And they're like, oh, you can't do that because, like, you can't monetize. And he left, and now he's got over 1 million subscribers, destroying. He's a huge influencer, right? So, like, that was kind of like one of the tip of the spear moments where the player empowerment era kind of shifted to where we are now. But yeah, going back to what you asked, we have athletes here. Just because they can be creators doesn't mean they want to be creators. That's the other part too. Like, all of us are consumers, but you guys are also creators. You're doing this too. So like, that's a huge opportunity to unlock so many things. And with our athletes, all it takes is one post. We have one gymnast who had 2 posts on her Instagram, and she took a clip of her doing a vault. She had about 8,000 followers. That she put the vault video. It was a 10, I think it was a SC championships, and she put Ice Spice music to it, and it went nuclear. It had 12 million views, 2 million likes. Ice Spice shared it on her story, and she went from like 6 or 8,000 followers to 130,000 followers.
Wow.
Right, and now she's like set. Like her next post was like buy my merch. So like that was just like a really cool natural thing for her to do. But I mean, all it takes is one post. All it takes is one podcast for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like, the world is moving so fast with this era of social media. Like, I even remember, like, we were like one of the first generations to kind of grow up having phones, but now it's like just everything from the second you're kind of born almost.
For better or worse.
Like, yeah, exactly. So I think that we're seeing that in like institutions such as college athletics, such as that athletic college football, college sports, kind of adapting to social media and adapting. And that's honestly a big part of for the NIL. So when was kind of the very first time where you're like, okay, the NIL is taking off? Like, how has that kind of looked? You said the earlier years of 2020 and 2021. Like, how has it kind of changed in that time in response? I know it's really kind of.
Well, so I would say that when the original intent of NIL was for athletes to profit off of jersey sales and video games, and if they wanted to bake cookies and sell them or whatever, but it quickly transformed into because we're in the only nonprofit that's competitive, college sports, a way to honestly like funnel money to players, right? And it was a tip of the spear to unlock. We are now starting this summer the rev share era, right? So we've changed a lot, and we're trying to remain competitive. Paying our athletes, and right now the average investment we do in a Gator is $120,000 a year. So that's a lot of money. So over 4 years, and the average athlete that comes to Florida, we're spending almost $500,000 on them between travel and training and food and everything that we do now. So the changes are happening quickly. All these regulations are happening, but no one's enforcing them. So like they're like, hey, Ben, here are the new rules. You could say tomorrow that every athlete can't, chew gum and walk. But like, that's great. But who's enforcing that?
Yeah.
No one's out there. There's no chewing gum and walking police, right? So we just, but it's also, the cat's already out of the bag in the sense that all these opportunities are out there. Now they're trying to restrict the opportunities, which is going to just open up a whole nother can of worms and challenges. And until there's collective bargaining or other things, we're kind of in this area where we just got to do the best we can to compete in the new era. I'm not really worried about it too much because we're the Florida Gators, but I will say that there are schools out there that I think there's over 70 D1 sports that have been cut at different schools. And then there's a lot of cuts on the admin side, 5% here, 10% there at big schools. So, we're in the business. We were a nonprofit, but now we have to think like a business. So a lot of different things are going to change. I think 5 years from now, college sports will be something completely different, but it will be at the best for all stakeholders, athletes, admin, coaches. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
For sure.
I find it kind of funny that you mentioned like athletics being like the only nonprofit that's competitive now. And I kind of want to talk specifically about your positioning a little bit more. So you kind of operated outside of the classic ecosystem at Blueprint Sports before jumping in-house here, with the Gators. So what did that outsider lens kind of, teach you that many athletic directors and compliance shops missed out in 2021 and 2022?
That's a good question. I mean, so in that role, we were kind of the first to scale collectives, which are donor-led funds. And the Florida Gators were the first school in the country to have a public collective, the Gator Collective. Yeah. That's why the name collective is a thing.
Wow.
So at Blueprint, I was remote, and I worked out in San Diego. I got my job from a Twitter DM or X DM. I just said, hey, can you hire me? And 30 days later, they hired me.
That's what happens nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I got my girlfriend from a Twitter DM. So it goes down to the DMs. Shout out Molly. She's a professor here in sports management if you want to take her class.
There we go.
But going back to your question, I would say that, I was on Zoom calls and pitches with presidents of universities, athletic directors, the biggest donors at these schools. And back then there was a lot of still there is now hesitation in unlocking opportunities for athletes.
Yeah.
And you can see there are coaches now that have been at schools for 20, 30 years that are stepping back. And it's one of those things. It's not, some of them it's like they can't get over the paying part, but it's also Saban said after they lost to Michigan that those guys came into his office and they all were like wanting raises, which is what it is, but also like he's like, hey, I'm trying to invest in developing you. I know there's schools out there that are giving opportunities to the athletes that are paying more than every coach on the team except for maybe the head coach.
Right.
And that's another dynamic that's being researched and studied right now is the dynamic between an athlete who's making X amount of dollars, say more than me, and their tutor that has to keep them academically eligible, right? And that's 5-10 years from now we'll see a lot of that roll out. And I'm sure that we've had these NBA documentaries on Broke. We try to do financial literacy here to prevent that documentary from coming out at Florida.
Yeah. And speaking about Florida, bringing it back to our campus, we had obviously an amazing season last year with basketball. So how did that Gators 2025 men's basketball championship win affect your position? Like when a program hits a national championship level, what measurably changes in NIL deal flow and how that works in that momentum?
I mean, that whole run was just a ball of momentum.
Yeah,
and I mean, from Bennett Anderson scoring and I think the Sweet 16, right?
Shout out Bennett.
And then he got a deal with Walk-On's Restaurant.
Awesome.
And that was something that we basically baked that up in like 72 hours. And then when we won the national championship, it was lightning. Like everyone, it's hot market, right? And anything that you do when something goes viral when everyone wants to be attached to a winner. And so my phone, between everyone, all my friends at other schools texting me congrats. I lead a call of about 40 NIL directors across the country.
Yeah.
So, and I'd like to think that they like me. So a lot of them texted me and said, hey, congrats on the win. But between that stuff, you have brands that are trying to, put their stuff in front of our athletes. We did victory royale posts, right? For what's the company? Fortnite, right? So we had some Fortnite stuff. We had them shoot in the View, which is our 270 degree screens. And then going into this season now, a lot of the deals for the year are they film and edit them ahead of the season. So we have way more NIL opportunities for our basketball team this year because of the momentum from last year.
Right.
And the same thing with football. A lot of the deals that DJ had, Jordan, Red Bull, that was all filmed before the season because during the year they're 10 toes down, right? And we can't really get in front of them. So, and winning begets winning. And I always say dollars follow eyes, right? So for us, the more eyes that we have on our podcast, the more eyes we have on winning, more eyes here in the swamp. We haven't even referenced this building, right? Jeez,
a lot of eyes,
right? And that's where the dollars will come. And and now that we have to think like a business, our goal is to also monetize the eyes in this building, right? And there'll be logos on the jerseys in a year or two. There'll be logos on the field, and all of that is to help this new $20 million vertical of paying the athletes, right? So. That was a lot of things I just talked about.
No, it makes perfect sense.
I see how attentive you are to your phone, kind of always responding to emails, text messages, things like that. What does, your daily routine look like as the director of NIL Strategy? And what are some of the ventures that you're currently, working on or looking forward to? Yeah,
so my daily routine is, it's a little bit all over. It's not like the guy who does the ice buckets and all that stuff, but I will say that I try to do Orange Theory or yoga, hot yoga every other day or every day or so in the mornings, and then every day actually since July 1st of 2024 I walk 5 miles a day.
Wow.
Throughout the day on top of Orange Theory yoga. I actually in the last 7 weeks I've started trying to run some of those, so I've averaged like 20 miles running. So that's just my personal stuff.
Yep.
And mostly it's because I need to not be looking at my phone. And
Get your mind right. Get your
exactly.
body right.
Well, it's also I have a hard stop at 10 p.m. If athletes text me after 10, I don't text back. And you would say, well, that's late, but no, athletes, I've gotten texts at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. So, and going back to the routine, I try to get in the office early, especially right now with Career Showcase. Parking is insane. But try to lock down, and I have meetings with our coaches with different parts of marketing and comms, and our collective Florida Victorious, they do a great job. So working with the CEO there. So every day doesn't have a consistent like bing 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 bing, but just being able to have things that like a win for me is I walk every day and I go to bed thinking I did everything I can for the Gators that day.
Yeah, this space has really blown up. 5 years ago, like you mentioned, a lot of this NIL work just didn't exist.
Yeah.
Now, as everything's expanding so much, are you able to touch on some of your most notable deals that you've hoped to be a part of? Some of the, whether it's in uniqueness, the size, or just something that was very memorable to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one that comes to mind is we actually had I got a random cold email from this like movie company, and they were like, hey, like we're filming something in Jacksonville, and we'd love to have some gymnasts or divers be a part of it. And we're like, oh, that's cool. And it was like, yeah, it's going to be an IMAX movie, and we're going to send them up into a zero gravity plane, and they're going to do flips in the plane.
No way.
Yeah. So, and the cost to go on this plane is $10,000 per person.
Wow.
So we were able to send 3 of our athletes up and this movie or this IMAX thing is going to be shown all over the nation.
Right.
And they got to be a part of it, and they got room and board paid, they got paid for lunch and dinner, and then they actually got to be in this $10,000 opportunity. So, and that's one of those ones where I was jealous. If the deal, when I measure deals by like, dang, that's like cool.
That's
and
so cool, yeah.
I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity they got to have. And when they came back, one of them was like, that I'll tell my kids about it. So like that was a win. And that's one like you see like I said, you see the Jordan, you see the Chipotle deal, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Every athlete gets to have free Chipotle during their season. The back end of that is a lot of work. I have 500 Chipotle cards in my office and trying to get these athletes to sign a DocuSign.
I will say they love it though. We had Henry Jefferson on, and he was like, "We got the Chipotle cards." Like,
Yeah.
he shouted that out.
Yeah, I know, and so tennis hasn't gotten theirs yet, but when he does, it has. Well, he's international, so he doesn't even have his name on it, and that's the other thing. International athletes, that's another
Different
laws, and with a Department of Homeland Security. There's just a lot of things there.
So UF specifically has done a very good job with some of the laws that are put on international athletes, giving them opportunities to go back to their home communities and still participate in some sort of way. Can you touch on that and how UF has kind of set a precedent and been at the forefront of making sure that all of these athletes have opportunities for them?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that when I first got here, international NIL was NO. So it was a no-go. And I will say credit to our international center on campus. I worked with them and our team here, and we have an outside counsel that specializes in international law. And we got to the best yes we could. And the partner at the firm came down, and she still comes down every 6 months or so, and we have like a check-in meeting. But I mean, without that momentum and what we were able to do there, I mean, if you look at our men's basketball team, our women's basketball team, like these teams, we have our women's basketball team this coming season has 7 international athletes on it.
That's awesome.
Right? So like,
And that's not a big team either. That's a pretty majority.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team itself has 13.
Yeah.
Right. So
Majority at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, and look at men's. You have Condo's on the team, Ruben is on the team, and those guys were contributors of a national championship team. And I don't think that we would have them or the talent we have across the board in other sports without those international opportunities, right? So I'd say that for us, we don't like the Florida Gators model is a championship experience with integrity. So for us to do anything, we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. So when I got here, that was that was where the people that are here, the coaches and stuff say, hey Ben, you're an attorney, I'm going to trust you. And I was like, well, let me go get the partner to give me the best guidance we can. And we've had no issues there. And I will say, like, since I've been at Florida, we haven't had any challenges to what we're doing, which I take pride in.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on like one of the amazing things that you did on our campus. So you launched a student-led creative agency with UF's College of Journalism to build athlete brands. What was that process and collab with the Florida Victorious like? How did that come to be, and what is it operating as now?
Yeah, I mean, so that was give Robert Juden credit. He's the guy who's leading it and founded it. But when he got on campus, we had a lot of meetings, just like, hey, how could this work?
Right.
Could we do it in-house for UAA or the Florida Gators? And we just decided, hey, the best way to get this to a yes is to work with our collective. So I just started. I have my first meeting with Robert last week. And they're really working on building the brands of the athletes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, we have the agency on campus.
Yes.
So the vision is, to have this kind of sports agency, which is Two Bits Creative.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's going to unlock a lot of opportunities for students on campus, not just athletes, to get real reps. And like what I was saying earlier, like just having that muscle that you're building, and you never know, you could have one post or graphic go viral and you could get a job from it. Right. And I think that's part of and unlocking that in the J school, I think will bring in more talent. And, we're trying to be a number one public school, a number one school. And the best way to do that is create new opportunities for not just athletes, but students. And I'm a big advocate of taking care of the students because I'm a Gator, so I care about that.
Love it.
Yeah, and so, we have the honor to be sitting here with the NIL Director of the Year.
Yeah.
What does that award mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's not about me. I think we did a good job here at Florida, and I'm the figurehead for NIL, so I get to have that in my office. But it's one of those things where I'm competitive, right? And if there's stakes, I'm gonna compete, right? And the same thing for the Gators. Like if there's a trophy, let's go try to win it. I don't know what the metrics are. I don't know how they're judging it. And, you have 40 for 40. I want to try to be a part of that. Whatever it is, like if there's skin in the game, I want to be a part of it. And I think that shows that we're doing something right, not just me. And I don't think I'm going to be tapped back to back, whatever. But like just being in that and to be recognized for that, and in the work we're doing here. 2024, we were a top. We got tapped as like one of the top institutional NIL programs. Yep. So that was really good. So that just shows like, hey, for the last 2 years, I got here in 23, 24, we had that best institutional. 25, I was recognized. Like we're doing something right, and it's not just me. I had some great volunteer interns. Now one's at San Diego State working there, an NIL coordinator. I have one who was one of my mentees. He's at Penn State. So I do think that just we're doing something right, and people are seeing it, and they want to, build out a tree of NIL from here.
That's awesome. Okay, to celebrate the heat of the swamp, we have a few last rapid fire questions. First, what is the greatest piece of advice you've ever received, having worked in such a difficult field for so long?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to like the reward for good work is more work, right? And so like for me, it's like the more that's on your plate, I always say I'm blessed to have more work because that means I have a job.
There we go.
We need more junkyard dogs like Ben in the swamp.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we can build out a team of more NIL people, I'd be happy for that for sure.
There we go. Next, are there any exciting upcoming projects, initiatives, or partnerships at UF that you're extremely excited about?
I mean, this week we have the EA Sports is on campus doing a meet and greet, and we're trying to finalize some stuff with the men's basketball team, like I said earlier, and we do have a women's basketball fashion show coming up at Cade Museum. So that's a really cool opportunity, and they're partnering with the Dazzlers.
There we go.
So it'll be
shout out to the
Dazzlers.
Go check out that episode.
So I think that's a really cool thing. It's again going to show some of that collaboration, and it's an opportunity for the athletes to make money and the Dazzlers to build their brands too. So I think that's a few that are coming up right now.
Okay, last question.
Last one.
What advice do you have for this upcoming generation of student athletes, of students that want to be like you and have to balance their athletics or their academics or their different career goals and paths that they want to go to? What is your advice for them to build their own brand?
I think at the end of the day, it's about finding a way to show you can add value. For me, like when I was at UF, my nickname was the exception because I did everything the exact opposite way.
There we go.
For finance, I studied for 48 hours in the library, and I got an A on the final and A in the class, which back then you could drop all your tests and only have the final, which is great. Wow. So I had like a B minus and then a B plus and then my A. But yeah, I would say I don't even know what my answer was, but it was probably decent. No, adding value. So if you can go anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's in your field that you're in right now, because I'm a big pivoter. If you can explain how you'll add value to a situation or add value to a company, you're going to get a chance.
Here we go.
Yeah, Ben, your journey from a Gator student to lawyer, strategist, and now NIL pioneer is nothing short of incredible. You've helped shape the future of college sports and shown what it means to innovate with purpose. So first off, thank you for sharing your story with us today on ChompCast. And to our listeners, whether you're chasing a dream, building something bold, or just figuring out your next steps, let Ben's journey remind you that anything is possible when you lead with passion and grit.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you for watching. And then on the very end, we're gonna do a little Gator chomp.
All right. Go.
Okay, ready? And
Go
go
Gators.
Gators! ChompCast out.